Hello and welcome to Thursday, 11 o'clock German time or Central European summertime right now. And welcome from Zaragoza. My name is Jens Heitland. I'm the owner of Heitland Innovation, doing a lot of things, but all about innovation. And this show is the HIQA show, Human Innovation Questions Answered, where I answer questions that I gather over months and some even years. I have gathered and gather weekly to answer them inside of this live show. So it's a live show. We're streaming this live into YouTube, into LinkedIn, and as well into Facebook. So wherever you are seeing this, you are welcome to ask me questions to the topic of today's. I'm just posting that you can do that as well. So today's topic is how to generate business impact. And that's what we go deeper into today's Q&A. And I have a couple of questions. So if you have questions for me to cover to this topic, how to generate business impact, please post them wherever you see this video right now in the live show. I will answer them as good as I can in the live environment. And I have a couple of questions, of course, gathered, which arrive through email. If you want to contact me via email, is contact@heitlandinnovation.com, contact@heitlandinnovation.com, or you go to my web pages, the webpage of the podcast, which is jensheitland.com. There is a chatbot functionality where you can send me questions, and then the chatbot is called HIQA. The same on heitlandinnovation.com. There's the same chatbot. All of this goes directly into my inbox, and if I see it, I'm not in a live show or recording a podcast or work with wonderful clients. All of that goes straight away to my inbox on my mobile phone, so I'm answering straight away. And of course, bring that back into the HIQA live show. Let's start with the first one. Before we go maybe into the first question, the definition of impact. I've posted a little video this morning, but I want to go as well, bring that into the live show. Impact. When I was thinking, bringing an overarching topic for today's show, I was looking into the questions I was getting, and they're all kind of connected to business and impact and driving business in a specific way. So I was looking into what is the definition of impact. And the one I liked most, that's the good thing when you host your own show, you can decide what you like and what you don't, have a strong effect on someone else. So the impact is to have a strong effect on someone or something else. So that's the definition I will use for the context of today's live show. And for me, the question then following that definition is like, okay, who and what do we want to affect as a business if we talk about business impact? And what is the reason of impacting that person, that group of people, or something, a process, a business, whatever? So it's really understanding that. And then what it is for me, impact is the critical part, is the human effect of it and the human part of it. So it's impact through humans on the environment you engage with, on the environment you work in, and of course the environment as the world we take into consideration. So health, the impact of the sustainability aspect. So it's really about, for me, it's all about positive impact, of course, and that only works in my strongest belief through empowering people, enabling people to innovate, enabling people to be part of that helped you to create this impact. So let's start with the first question. First question I take today was, how do you change a business model? Very broad question, again, as I sometimes get. So I was in contact with that person, so I went more into details. So the first thing we discussed was, okay, do you understand your current business model? Changing your business model is one thing, but do you really truly understand what your business model right now is? What are the different things? Why do you want to change it? Is it not working? Is it not efficient? And then we looked into, are you ready to go all in from the consequences to you will occur when you are going to change your business model? So that was the initial conversation I've had with that person. And then we went into something I call the 95-5 rule, which is 95% of an existing business should focus on generating impact through core core business developments, like normal day-to-day improvement of the business, and then adjacent innovation topics where you say, okay, we have a strong foundation of our business and we do things that are connected to that business, so we improve that business, so that you truly build a business that is successful on the long run. And thinking then about a business model transformation and changing the business model is not something that happens overnight. So it's really about how do you do that with a 5% focus. So I always say it's like put 5% of your budget, put 5% of what you do into future business model transformation thinking, where you say, okay, I will put 5% of the budget, if we take the budget as the example, on the side, and give that to a team that's kind of a hidden, let's call it moonshot team, whatever you want to call it, that is working on this thinking. So their focus and their 100% focus is on how do you build this business model to take over the old business model. So you need to build something that's more successful than the previous business model, and there need to be a reason for that. So that's why I was starting with the reason first. So using this 5% and then really building that on the side of the business so that's not attacked by the internal immune system. I've answered a lot of questions to this internal immune system things in the last or in one of the last HIQA sessions. So go back into the podcast or into YouTube. You will see more on that. And I do smaller clips to each of these questions, so you can find them as well when you Google it. So it's really putting a team on the side, give them 5% of your total budget, and then let them run. Let them fail. Let them figure out how do they take a new business model as a consideration and develop products, improve whatever you are doing, depending on what the business is doing, but give them the freedom to fail. And worst case, that's something you need to be aware of. They spend all this 5% of your total budget and have only learnings. Only, I say, because a lot of people think then when you have spent 5% of your total budget on something that's not helping your business to improve right now, it's a waste of money. For me, it's you're generating learnings you would have never had, because these people think and build things in a completely different way. And whatever they are coming up with will be so dramatically different that it helps the business to 10x exponential grow over the time, and as well take a business model over. So that's really about, from a leadership angle, again, give them the freedom, give them the resources, and empower them to do that. And don't let the normal core business distract that part. So if you have questions to that, you are welcome to post them into the chat wherever you see this right now. Next question I got was, how do you generate quick success to convince my manager? So it was a conversation around how do you convince the manager, but as well, how do you generate quick success inside of an organization. That was a fairly large organization, so I framed this a little bit under the context of a large organization, but I think it works exactly the same in a very small organization, which might be a startup with 5 or 10 people or even less. So first thing was, you need to understand what success means for the manager. So if you do want to improve the relationship, if you want to generate quick success to be shown or be seen for the manager, you need to understand what success means for that manager. Number 2 is you need to understand what quick means, because depends in the environment you work in. For example, I have worked a lot with commercial real estate. Building a new store, building a new shopping center, building a new shopping district takes time. So quick success in that context might be something very, very long, which takes 5 or 10 years. But if you are a technology company, quick success can mean something very, very quick, which is like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So it's really this context you need to understand. And then really, what I always say is, don't ask for permission. Don't ask someone for permission to innovate. Do it. The number 1 for me is really do and innovate and then figure out. So it's not for, if we take this context, is generate quick success to convince my manager. It's not about how do you please that manager. It's more about how do you do something that is impacting the business, and that business impact will be more important than you pleasing that manager. And number one rule for that is don't expect anyone to celebrate your success. I know specifically if we talk about this large organizational context, you're supposed to support that business to grow. So don't expect that they celebrate your great idea and what you did. So don't do this selfishly. Do this for the sake of learning. Do this for the sake of understanding the business and improving the business, because then it's something that truly helps you and it will advance you going forward. But don't expect it straight away. So if you want to generate quick success, have that mindset from the beginning, and it will be successful. What else do we have? Questions? That was a nice one I got via the HIQA chat. So you always talk about leadership and empowerment, but what about business? So that's why I brought it into today's session as well. For me, business is the outcome. Business is the outcome of proper leadership and working with the community. I always have these three parts. Leadership and community will generate business outcome if you do this well. And I always start with the leadership and the empowerment angle of this. So if we take an example, there's a goal that you want to increase sales by 20%. You have a business and you want to increase sales by 20%, and the management is saying, oh, that's our goal. You can do this in different ways. You can do this short-term focused on setting, okay, we need to generate 20% more sales. Doesn't matter what it costs. Doesn't matter what it costs from the long-term perspective. So what you could do, you shout louder. You're the manager, you shout louder, you push everyone to deliver 2% more and really push that through. You build an incentive structure that is kind of destroying teamwork. So you allow someone to earn a lot of money or get a lot of resources who is solving that 20%. That's one possibility. And then you might achieve this 20% in a short-term perspective without understanding the consequences long-term. So when I talk about leadership and empowerment, now an example which goes more into that direction. So you can work with the team, which is like the employees, the sales team, if you look into these 20% sales, on finding out how you can increase sales into the 20% direction together. Different approach. You're not shouting, you're bringing these people together. You ask them questions like, what is limiting us right now? Let's figure that out. Why don't we achieve the 20% right now? What would we need to do to get the 20%? So you have a conversation as a leader with the team, and then you look into what do we need to change? What do we need to change to get towards the 20%? And then you go, okay, let's build a plan. Let's build an understanding of how do we do this and who needs to contribute, who is doing what to be able to do that. And then as a leader, you step back and support the team to achieve that goal. You give them the resources, to give them the possibilities to deliver towards that goal you have developed together, and the resources and the time as well they need to do to be able to get that. And of course, as part of that, from a leadership perspective, you don't punish anyone who is not able to do that. So it's important to understand that yes, things can fail. Yes, you might not achieve the 20%. So it's really enabling them to do this truly, because if you don't punish anyone, and punish is maybe the wrong word, but you get what I mean, then you have the possibility of someone else saying, okay, we didn't manage at that time, but he believed in us or she believed in us. And if something else comes in the future, which always comes in business, then you say, okay, at that time, it was like this person truly empowered us, that truly worked with us, that listened to us. And I believe in this. So I'm now giving extra speed. I'm now giving extra energy to make it happen so that we as a team can succeed. Different than the other pushing thing. So that's what I talk about when it is leadership and the empowerment structure, because I truly believe that every business in today's world need to work with this leadership angle, which is an empowerment structure, not on this pushing, punishing structure or hierarchy structure. Very, very important in my eyes. I truly believe in that. I have seen companies and leaders who do different things and doing this in a good way in my eyes, and doing that in a bad way, which is more using the hierarchy structure. So next question. uh, 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 how to get started with innovation, slightly connected to that impact again. That's it really depends, of course. If you really don't want to build a new strategy, trying to find out all the big corporate things you would be doing, you can do this. And that's maybe something we go deeper in today. You do this on a day-to-day basis. So what can you do on a day-to-day basis to improve the innovation piece? And for me, it's not, don't go too much about into the theory. What are the different horizons of innovation? How is it structured? I think this will only limit you if you want to get started. So it's more about start, try to find what are things that our customers, our clients don't like, things that where you get the feedback from internal colleagues that there's something not working. So find out what is the problem, and then figure out what you can do on a daily basis to improve that problem. And it's not about taking a lot of resources, taking a lot of time, taking a lot of money to figure that out. It's more about, okay, I'm spending every day a little bit of my time, maybe with the team, in finding out how we can improve this problem. And that gets you into the mindset of innovation as a starting point, solving a problem and trying to do this in ways which you haven't thought about. And that gets you into that direction. And then, of course, if you go into that direction, you might find out, hey, to be able to solve this problem, we need to have different solution, different technology, different ways of thinking, different processes. And then you figure out, okay, maybe we need to start a project which helps us to get into that direction. So it's really all about starting with the mindset, focusing on solving a problem, and then you go into doing that. And only then, I would suppose, you can go into building a structure that supports that from an organizational perspective. Because then you build the culture from the get-go. It's not about, you need to build a huge, let's say, innovation department that builds the culture that helps you to do that. Of course, different approaches depending on how fast you want to go and how you want to do that. But it's really all about that. What else do we have from a next question? Question came just in. Okay. How do you measure success in innovation? Yeah, good one. Thanks for that, Peter. How do you how do you measure success in innovation? Good. Let's take maybe take the approach that we have the three pillars. Leadership. How do you measure success through innovation with the leadership angle? So for me, it's, if you do this well, like I explained in one of the other questions, you focus on leadership, which is generating empowerment inside of the organization. So you need to understand if the leader is effective and efficient in what this leader is supposed to do, which is empowering the organization to innovate, empowering teams, empowering team leaders, helping them to grow and develop in what they're doing. So it's one thing easy, if you take a number, is the turnover of the employees in an organization. And then you can have that from a department perspective, from a business area perspective. This shows, because we all know, even that we don't sometimes believe in it, people are leaving leaders. They're not, or managers, even worse. People are leaving managers, not companies. And you see, if there's a big turnover from one department, there's a leadership issue. So that helps you to dive deeper into this. And that gives you as well an indication if this department or this business area is innovative or not. Just one example. Then, of course, you can have peer reviews, you can have 360s, you can have leadership performance index that all go into the same direction. Next one I would say is the community. How does this organization work with the community? And community for me is the employees, of course, partners, like different business partners you work with in your business. Every business has that. And then, of course, the customers and or clients you work with. How do you co-create? How do you work with them together so that you innovate on based on the needs and the problems you have with your business? And that can be You measure customer satisfaction. You have an online business, you understand, you give them a rating. That gives you always an indication of, okay, are we on track of producing and solving problems for our customers? Same with the employees. Are you solving problems together with and or for the employees? Understand that you can have customer happiness index, you can have employee happiness index, you can see the personal development of individuals inside of your organization, you can see the performance index of your employees in an organization. But as well, if we take the partner angle, the partner turnover of your business. So all of this give you an indication of how do you work with the community? Is there something going right or wrong? And then, of course, if we go into the business part, which everyone is interested, I would reduce the innovation cap KPIs if we talk about KPIs to something that is really relevant to that business. And the key relevance is always revenue and profit. So these are the easiest ones which every business has. Every business has these KPIs. If not, then you have other problems. But it's key. And then you can look into, if you go a level deeper, is how many percentage of the profit or the revenue comes from these new innovation activities. And then you get an understanding of how much is really contributing to your business success, which then means translates into impact. So it's really all about understanding. That's why I always call it GPS. If you understand the different data points, that helps you to navigate into the right direction. Hope that answers the question. Is innovation important for business success? You could argue you don't need to innovate to run a successful business, and there are tremendous businesses out there who are not the most innovative from an innovation definition perspective. But I think if we look at the long-term perspective, if you want to build a long-term successful business, it's critical to work in a way that you're adapting and to the external forces. So if we take COVID, we all have experienced COVID as an external threat to companies, to lives, and so on. So if you're not able to adapt in the way, or if you're only able to adapt very slow to external factors, that means your business is less successful. Again, looking at the impact you want to create as a business, if you're not able to adapt. And then for me, it's like innovation helps you to be adaptive, helps you to be at the forefront, helps you to look into the future and then project that into today's world. That means you go from a reactive mode, hey, we are hit by something external that puts us into a specific direction, or you take a leadership approach, which means we are looking into the future, we are adapting, we are building the capabilities into our business, we're building, in my eyes, the leadership development engine and the kind of innovation culture in your business that helps you to be proactive and understand, okay, this is going to happen within the next 5 years, 10 years. We're turning into that direction and we are understanding exactly how that works. And of course, that always means you need to understand where you are today and how you project that into the future. I think that's critical to understand. So I think we have covered a lot. I get a couple of comments that the video speed in the public is slower than what I'm doing here. That's sometimes the case with the live streaming. Sorry for that, Tobias. But if there are questions, I will of course always go later on into the feeds and answer them. If you have questions, shoot them to me via contact@heitlandinnovation.com. Use the new chat functionality, the HIQA chat, on jensheitland.com or heitlandinnovation.com, which is the website asset that goes directly into my phone. And there's not a robot asking that, though, that there is a chatbot functionality, because if you put in your email, then I am able to respond to you as well through that, and you get an answer to your question straight away, not just inside of the HIQA. So thank you very much for everyone who is sending questions. It's really lovely to see that it's slowly picking up. I put all of them into an Excel table. That's how I work. And then put them into a highlighted overarching theme so that I can produce another HIQA like I do today. Looking forward to see you next week, Thursday, 11 o'clock again, 11 o'clock a.m. in the morning. And that's Central European Summer Time, which is Berlin time, Madrid time, wherever you are in the world, so that you find the right time. And of course, all of this goes into the podcast. The podcast will be already published tomorrow, which is Friday. So always the Friday after you have the audio version, the video version is straight away everywhere available if you want to look into that. And I'm producing smaller clips for each of these questions so that there is built out inside of my YouTube channel. You find a Q&A library. So it's always one question and my answer to that. So you can look back into other things you might be interested to. Thank you very much for joining today. It was a pleasure seeing a lot of comments and looking forward to see you again next week.